Why do most people never get rich? It's not always about lack of opportunity or talent. The truth lies in hidden money biases that quietly sabotage financial success. These are psychological traps, patterns of thinking and behavior, that keep people stuck. While the wealthy learn to recognize and overcome them, most people fall victim without even noticing. In this video, we'll uncover these invisible forces shaping your money decisions. If you've ever felt like wealth is out of reach no matter how hard you try, stick around. The answers might surprise you. One of the biggest hidden money biases is the comfort bias. People crave security, predictability, and routines. While this feels safe, it prevents risk-taking, which is often necessary to build wealth. Wealthy individuals step outside comfort zones, investing, starting businesses, or learning new skills. But most people prefer the familiar, the same job, the same paycheck, the same spending patterns. Comfort gives stability, but it also creates financial stagnation. Recognizing this bias is the first step. If you only chase comfort, you might avoid short-term pain but also block long-term growth. Wealth requires courage beyond comfort. Present bias makes us value instant rewards more than future ones. It's why we spend money on things we don't need instead of investing. The thrill of buying now feels stronger than the delayed satisfaction of saving. Most people underestimate how small daily choices compound over years. The wealthy fight this bias by prioritizing long-term gains. They train themselves to feel excitement about investing in delayed rewards. Present bias keeps most people broke because they sacrifice the future for the present. Winning with money requires flipping this script, valuing tomorrow's security over today's impulse. Humans are wired to compare themselves to others. Status bias makes us spend to impress: new cars, luxury clothes, the latest gadgets. But wealth rarely comes from showing off. It comes from owning assets that grow quietly. Most people let status bias drain their money, while the wealthy often live below their means. Think of billionaires in simple clothes driving average cars. They know wealth isn't about looking rich, it's about being free. If you spend to prove something, you're playing the wrong game. Escape status bias, and you'll keep more money where it belongs, working for you. People prefer what they know, even when it's not the best choice. Familiarity bias keeps most people investing only in local businesses, holding cash instead of exploring stocks, or avoiding new opportunities. The wealthy expand their horizons. They diversify, explore global markets, and learn about industries others ignore. Familiarity feels safe but creates blind spots. For example, keeping all money in a savings account may feel secure, but inflation slowly erodes it. Breaking this bias requires curiosity. The world is bigger than your comfort zone, and wealth grows when you look beyond what's familiar. Fear is a natural human instinct, but when it comes to money, fear bias can paralyze progress. Most people avoid investing because they're afraid of losing. They keep money locked in low-yield accounts, thinking it's safe. But in reality, they're losing to inflation. Wealthy individuals accept fear as part of growth. They don't avoid risk, they manage it. They study, diversify, and move forward despite uncertainty. Fear bias convinces people to sit on the sidelines while others play the game. Remember, not acting is also a decision, and often the costliest one in finance. Overconfidence bias tricks people into thinking they know more than they do. It's why many gamble on stocks, chase hot tips, or think they can beat the market without research. While confidence is good, blind confidence is dangerous. Wealthy individuals know the limits of their knowledge. They rely on systems, mentors, and data, not luck. Most people underestimate risks and overestimate their skills, leading to costly mistakes. The market humbles everyone eventually. True financial wisdom comes from balancing confidence with humility, knowing when to act boldly and when to seek guidance. Scarcity bias convinces us that opportunities are rare, so we panic and make poor decisions. Sales like limited time only or last chance exploit this bias. With money, people chase bad investments out of fear of missing out. Wealthy individuals see opportunities as endless. They don't rush into traps, they wait for value. Scarcity bias keeps people buying liabilities instead of waiting for assets. The truth is, money flows constantly. If you miss one chance, another will come. Scarcity blinds you to patience, but patience builds wealth. Abundance mindset is key to escaping this trap. Humans are social creatures, and herd bias pushes us to follow the crowd. Most people invest, spend, and save based on what everyone else does. If friends buy luxury cars, they do too. If the crowd panics during a market crash, they sell too. The wealthy avoid herd behavior. They think independently, often going against the flow. Some of the best investments happen when the crowd runs the other way. Herd bias explains bubbles and crashes, too many people moving together without logic. To build wealth, you must dare to stand apart from the herd. Anchoring bias locks us to the first number we see. If a stock was once $100 and now it's $50, people think it's cheap, without checking its real value. Sales, discounts, and prices often exploit this trick. Wealthy individuals look beyond the first anchor. They study fundamentals, not just numbers on a screen. Anchoring bias makes most people overpay, undersave, or miss better deals. It's a silent force shaping decisions, and once you see it, you can resist it. Wealth grows when you free yourself from false anchors and judge value on deeper truths. Optimism bias makes people believe nothing bad will happen to them. It's why many avoid insurance, emergency funds, or proper planning. They assume job loss, illness, or market crashes won't touch them. Wealthy individuals prepare for the worst while working for the best. They know optimism feels good but can be dangerous without caution. Optimism bias leaves most people unprepared, living paycheck to paycheck, vulnerable to shocks. True wealth requires realism, hope balanced with preparation. Expect the unexpected, and you'll not only survive setbacks, you'll thrive while others collapse. The flip side of optimism is negativity bias, focusing too much on risks and ignoring opportunities. Some people never invest, fearing losses more than they value gains. They sit in cash, miss opportunities, and watch inflation eat savings. Wealthy individuals balance risk with reward. They don't let fear dominate, but they also don't ignore it. Negativity bias paralyzes most people, keeping them stuck in survival mode. Breaking free requires shifting focus. Instead of thinking "what if I lose?" ask "what if I win?" Both risks and rewards exist, but wealth belongs to those who dare. Sunk cost bias keeps people tied to bad decisions because they've already invested time, money, or energy. They hold losing stocks, stay in failing businesses, or continue unwise habits just because of past effort. Wealthy individuals cut losses quickly. They know past costs are gone, what matters is future value. Most people stay broke because they can't let go. Sunk cost bias traps you in a cycle of waste. Freedom comes from admitting mistakes and moving on. Every dollar you save from a bad decision is fuel for a smarter one tomorrow. Endowment bias makes people overvalue what they already own just because it's theirs. They hold on to old houses, cars, or investments longer than they should. The wealthy evaluate assets objectively. If something no longer produces value, they sell or upgrade. Most people cling to possessions for emotional reasons, draining money in maintenance or missed opportunities. Endowment bias keeps wealth locked in unproductive places. To build real wealth, detach emotionally from things and see them as tools, not treasures. Ownership should serve you, not the other way around. These are just the first layers of the hidden money biases. They're not obvious, but they silently shape how most people think about wealth. Comfort, present, status, fear, overconfidence, scarcity, herd, and more, each plays a role in keeping people stuck. The good news? Awareness is power. Once you recognize these biases, you can break free from them. In the next part, we'll go even deeper, uncovering the biases that shape how you work, save, and plan for the future. These are the patterns separating the broke majority from the wealthy few. Stay tuned. Another hidden bias is the status trap. People equate wealth with appearances, cars, clothes, gadgets. But spending money to look rich prevents people from actually becoming rich. The wealthy often live modestly, saving and investing quietly. Meanwhile, those chasing status pour money into short-term pleasures instead of long-term security. The psychology is simple: humans crave respect and validation. But here's the irony: those who chase the image of wealth usually stay broke, while those who avoid showing off quietly build empires. True wealth whispers, while fake wealth shouts. Let's talk about the comfort zone bias. Many never get rich because they fear stepping out of safe, predictable routines. A steady paycheck feels comfortable, but it caps growth. Entrepreneurship, investing, and skill expansion require discomfort and uncertainty. Most avoid that leap. Yet, the comfort that feels safe is the very trap keeping people stuck. Wealth grows in places of risk and learning, not in routine. Think about it: every wealthy person you admire once stepped into uncertainty. The poor stay where it feels safe, but the rich embrace where it feels scary. There's also the short-term dopamine bias. Buying things gives quick happiness, but it fades fast. This cycle keeps people broke because they trade long-term security for instant pleasure. Psychologists call this present bias. We overvalue today and undervalue tomorrow. Successful people flip this bias. They sacrifice comfort today for freedom tomorrow. The broke person buys the latest phone. The wealthy person invests that same money, letting compounding build their future. The tragedy is that people chase little highs, while ignoring the massive payoff waiting down the road. Here's the knowledge bias. People assume that money management is common sense, so they don't bother to study it. But wealth isn't built on guesswork, it's built on financial literacy. The average person spends more time planning a vacation than learning about investing or taxes. Yet the wealthy devour knowledge. They know tax strategies, investment vehicles, and asset allocation. Money isn't just earned, it's managed. This bias keeps people broke because they don't realize how much there is to learn. And worse, they don't even start. Don't forget the luck bias, believing wealth is purely about being born rich, winning the lottery, or getting lucky. While circumstances matter, this belief kills effort. It makes people passive. The wealthy, instead, view opportunities as created, not gifted. They build systems, expand networks, and stack small wins until luck seems to find them. The truth, luck favors the prepared mind. By dismissing wealth as luck, most people excuse themselves from trying. But those who prepare, learn, and adapt create their own fortune. Now, let's explore the comparison bias. People measure success by comparing themselves to others. This leads to overspending, envy, and bad financial choices. Instead of building wealth on their own terms, they chase someone else's highlight reel. The wealthy rarely play this game. They focus inward, competing only with their past selves. Comparison steals peace and drains wallets. Every time someone buys to keep up with the neighbors, they push wealth further away. The secret? Compete with your vision, not their possessions. Another dangerous bias is the entitlement trap. Many feel they deserve wealth without earning it. They expect promotions, raises, or financial help simply because they've worked hard or faced struggles. But wealth isn't about deserving, it's about systems and leverage. The rich understand this. They don't wait for permission, they create opportunities. Entitlement creates resentment when money doesn't flow in. But responsibility creates action. The faster someone shifts from "I deserve" to "I will build," the faster wealth starts growing. Meet the debt normalization bias. Society has made debt feel normal: credit cards, student loans, car loans. People see it as a regular part of life. But here's the truth: debt is chains disguised as convenience. The wealthy often use debt strategically, as leverage, but most people sink under its weight. Normalizing debt prevents people from striving for financial freedom because they see chains as bracelets. Until they recognize debt as a prison, they'll keep walking into it blindly. Here's the comfort spending bias. Many people use spending as therapy, shopping when stressed, buying to celebrate, or consuming to cope. This emotional spending feels harmless but drains future wealth. The wealthy often replace emotional spending with productive outlets: exercise, learning, creativity. The difference isn't income, it's psychology. Spending to soothe feelings traps people in cycles. It's like pouring water into a leaking bucket. Until emotions are managed, wealth will always leak away. Then comes the lottery mindset bias, believing one big win will change everything. People spend on lotteries, gamble in casinos, or wait for a magical job promotion. But wealth is rarely one big event, it's 1,000 small, boring, consistent steps. The wealthy embrace compound growth, while the broke chase jackpots. The bias here is expecting fireworks, when wealth is really a slow-burning candle. Chasing jackpots burns money fast, compounding builds it slow but sure. Let's expose the blame bias. Many stay broke because they blame others: the government, the economy, their boss, or even their family. But blame shifts power away. The wealthy take ownership, even of problems they didn't cause. Responsibility creates control, and control creates options. Blame is comforting, it makes us feel innocent, but it's also disempowering. The rich think, if I don't fix it, who will? The poor think, it's not my fault, so I can't. And that difference makes all the difference. There's also the inflation of lifestyle bias. When income rises, expenses rise too. People get promotions, then upgrade cars, houses, and lifestyles. Instead of building wealth, they build chains of expenses. The wealthy fight this by holding lifestyle steady even as income grows. They invest the difference. This bias tricks people into thinking they're advancing, when really they're running in place. True wealth comes when lifestyle stays below income, not equal to it. Here's the outcome bias, judging success only by immediate results. If they don't see quick progress, people quit saving, quit investing, or quit building businesses. But wealth compounds invisibly. For years, it looks like nothing is happening, then suddenly, it explodes. Most never wait long enough to see the explosion. They chase shortcuts, abandon strategies, and start over. The wealthy trust the process, even when results are invisible. Patience creates millionaires, while impatience keeps people stuck. Another one, the confidence bias. People overestimate their ability to handle money. They assume they're smarter than the system, so they skip research, ignore advisors, and make risky bets. This overconfidence leads to losses. Meanwhile, the wealthy remain cautious. They know the market is bigger than them, so they hedge, diversify, and adapt. Confidence without humility destroys wealth. True financial intelligence is quiet, cautious, and humble. And finally for this set, the scarcity bias. People think money is limited, so they hoard instead of multiplying it. This mindset makes them defensive, clinging to jobs or savings but never growing beyond survival. The wealthy embrace abundance. They view money as a tool, not a finite pie. By investing, creating, and sharing, they expand the pie for themselves and others. Scarcity says, if you win, I lose. Abundance says, if I grow, we all grow. That mindset shift changes everything. Let's uncover the fear of failure bias. Most people never get rich because they're terrified of failing. They avoid investments, business attempts, or big opportunities out of fear they might lose. Ironically, this avoidance guarantees they never win. The wealthy see failure differently, it's tuition. Every failure teaches lessons money can't buy. The poor see failure as the end, the rich see it as progress. The fear of failing paralyzes many, but embracing small failures unlocks big successes. There's also the procrastination bias. People delay financial decisions, saving, investing, budgeting, thinking they'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow rarely comes. Time is wealth's best friend, and procrastination steals it. A dollar saved at 20 grows into fortunes by 60. The same dollar saved at 40? Much less. The wealthy act now, knowing time compounds. The poor wait, thinking they have forever. But wealth rewards urgency, not delay. Another is the social proof bias. People copy what everyone else does, even if it leads to poverty. If friends buy expensive cars on credit, they do the same. If family ignores investing, they ignore it too. But following the crowd rarely leads to wealth, because most of the crowd is broke. The wealthy often do the opposite of the herd. They invest when others panic, they save when others splurge. Social proof feels safe, but safety is often a trap. Here's the narrative bias. People believe money stories they grew up with, like rich people are greedy or money doesn't buy happiness. These narratives shape behavior, often unconsciously. If you see wealth as evil, you'll subconsciously avoid it. If you see money as scarce, you'll cling to it instead of multiplying it. The wealthy rewrite their money story. They see wealth as freedom, opportunity, and impact. Change the narrative, and you change the outcome. Consider the default bias. People stick with whatever financial setup they start with, basic savings accounts, bad banks, or lazy investment plans. Changing feels overwhelming. But wealth requires breaking defaults. Rich people constantly optimize, switching accounts, chasing better returns, diversifying. The poor accept defaults, and those defaults keep them stuck. The easiest path is rarely the wealthiest one. Then there's the fear of judgment bias. Many never take financial risks because they worry about looking foolish if they fail. They care more about others' opinions than their own future. The wealthy embrace looking stupid in the short term if it means being free in the long term. They'd rather be laughed at today and respected tomorrow. Judgment doesn't pay bills, but courage does. That's why this bias quietly keeps millions poor. Meet the overcomplication bias. People believe getting rich requires genius-level skills, complex strategies, or secret tricks. So, they do nothing. The truth? Wealth often comes from simple habits, spending less than you earn, investing consistently, avoiding debt. The wealthy master simplicity, while the poor chase complexity. This bias convinces people they're not smart enough, when in reality, discipline beats brilliance in money. There's also the endowment bias. People overvalue what they already own, keeping bad investments, old habits, or outdated systems just because they're familiar. This keeps wealth stagnant. The wealthy cut losses quickly and move on. They don't cling to what isn't working. The poor hold on, hoping it magically turns around. Endowment bias turns money into dead weight instead of a tool for growth. Another trap, the instant success bias. People want to get rich fast. If it takes years, they lose interest. But real wealth is slow, boring, and unsexy. Compounding, consistent effort, and patience create freedom. Chasing instant success leads to scams, losses, and frustration. The wealthy know slow growth is the real shortcut. The poor abandon the path because it feels too long, ironically guaranteeing they never arrive. Here's the overconsumption bias. People believe the purpose of money is to spend it on food, gadgets, travel, entertainment. Spending isn't evil, but when it's the default, wealth never grows. The wealthy see money as a soldier, it must be deployed into investments, multiplying itself. The poor see money as candy, sweet today, gone tomorrow. Overconsumption is disguised as fun, but it's really a thief stealing your future freedom. Let's expose the education system bias. Schools teach people to memorize facts, but not to build wealth. They prepare you to be a worker, not an owner. Most people never question this bias, they believe good grades equals success. But the wealthy know financial education happens outside classrooms. They learn from mentors, books, and real-world mistakes. The education bias leaves people smart in theory but broke in practice. There's also the linear income bias, believing money only comes from a paycheck. People trade time for money and stop there. But wealth requires breaking that link. Investments, royalties, businesses, and assets create income that flows even when you sleep. The wealthy build systems that work 24/7. The poor work 9 to 5 and wonder why wealth doesn't arrive. Linear thinking builds a job. Leverage builds wealth. Now, the security bias. People cling to safe jobs, safe savings accounts, and safe routines. But safety often means stagnation. Inflation eats safe savings, layoffs destroy safe jobs, and routines keep people stuck. The wealthy chase controlled risk, knowing it's the only path to growth. Security feels good today, but creates vulnerability tomorrow. What feels safe now may actually be the biggest danger. Here's the invisible cost bias. People ignore small leaks, subscription services, small fees, impulse buys. These invisible costs strain fortunes over time. Wealthy people obsess over details, they plug leaks, track expenses, and demand efficiency. Small leaks sink big ships. The poor think a few dollars don't matter, but over years, those dollars become lost fortunes. Wealth grows from awareness, poverty grows from ignorance. And finally for this set, the scarred memory bias. People who've lost money in the past avoid trying again. A failed investment, a bad business, or a financial mistake scars them so deeply they never re-enter the game. But avoiding the game guarantees no wins. The wealthy reframe scars as wisdom, not reasons to quit. A scar is proof you fought, not a reason to stop fighting. Poverty clings to pain, wealth turns pain into progress. People cling to the idea that one big break, winning the lottery, stumbling into a startup, or a miracle stock, will make them rich. This bias creates passive dreamers instead of active builders. Statistically, lottery winners are more likely to go bankrupt than to stay wealthy. Why? Because money without mindset disappears. True wealth doesn't come from a single lightning strike, it comes from discipline, repeatable systems, saving, investing, compounding. The bias convinces people to ignore small, boring daily habits in favor of fantasies. Real success is built in increments, not jackpots. Humans measure wealth relative to others. If your neighbor buys a new car, you suddenly feel poorer, even if nothing changed in your bank account. This bias pushes people into debt just to keep up. Social media amplifies it. People show highlights, never struggles. Comparison keeps you chasing appearances instead of building assets. The wealthy flip the script, they compare only with themselves. Is my net worth growing? Is my money buying freedom? When you play the comparison game, you're playing someone else's scoreboard. You can't win. People want the trappings of wealth before earning wealth itself. Cars, designer brands, gadgets, finance through credit, not cash flow. This bias tricks the brain. If I look rich, I'll feel rich. But it delays actual wealth by locking future income into debt payments. Real wealth builders flip the order, build assets first, let assets pay for luxuries later. Lifestyle creep is silent sabotage. Every unnecessary upgrade steals compounding power. The wealthy know, delay visible luxury, accelerate invisible compounding. People think avoiding risk keeps them safe. They hoard cash, never invest, or keep all savings in a bank. Ironically, this is the riskiest move. Inflation erodes stagnant money. Meanwhile, those who take calculated risks, investing in assets, businesses, skills, grow wealth. The bias comes from confusing volatility with danger. Stocks may go up and down, but over decades, the upward trend is undeniable. The real danger is stagnation. Wealth favors the brave, but only the strategically brave. Many believe wealth requires ultra-complicated strategies, insider secrets, or exotic investments. So they avoid starting, or worse, fall for scams promising complexity. In reality, most rich people follow boring basics: spend less than you earn, invest consistently, let time compound. Complexity bias makes people chase what looks advanced, while ignoring what works. Simplicity is wealth's hidden weapon. A simple, automated savings plan beats 1,000 fancy theories. The secret isn't hidden knowledge, it's consistent action. Psychology proves, people feel losses twice as strongly as gains. Losing $100 hurts more than winning $100 feels good. This bias freezes people into inaction. They avoid investing because they fear losing, not realizing that not investing guarantees loss through inflation. Wealth requires reprogramming this fear. Instead of seeing temporary losses as disasters, see them as discounts. Every market dip is a sale, not a threat. The rich play long games, the poor freeze at the first loss. Many people secretly hate selling. They see it as manipulative or desperate. But wealth is built on selling your skills, your ideas, your products. Every paycheck exists because someone sold something. This bias keeps talented people underpaid, afraid to pitch themselves or their work. The wealthy embrace sales as value exchange, solve problems, get rewarded. If you never learn to sell, you stay dependent on others who do. People cling to routines, even when those routines keep them broke. The comfort zone is safe but stagnant. True wealth lives outside it, negotiating, investing, building, risking rejection. The bias whispers, stay where you are, don't try that. But every rich story is someone stepping outside the ordinary. Comfort is expensive because it costs you your future. Ironically, sometimes small progress makes people quit too soon. Save $1,000? They splurge to reward themselves. Get a promotion? Upgrade lifestyle immediately. This bias kills momentum. Wealth requires celebrating growth, but reinvesting victories, not cashing them out. The rich celebrate privately, while letting compounding do its quiet work. Most people sabotage themselves by turning progress into indulgence. Debt feels abstract until it strangles. People rationalize, everyone has loans, or it's just credit cards. This bias delays facing reality. But interest compounds against you just as powerfully as wealth compounds for you. Denial makes you poor because the longer you wait, the heavier the chain. Wealthy people face debt head-on, pay it down, restructure, or avoid it altogether. Denial doesn't delay pain, it multiplies it. People think grinding longer hours automatically equals wealth. But overwork without leverage traps you. True wealth comes from systems, ownership, and compounding, not just sweat. This bias glorifies busyness while ignoring scalability. The rich don't just work hard, they work smart, turning hours into assets that keep paying. If your income stops when you stop working, you're not building wealth, you're just selling time. For many, money is about signaling, cars, watches, branded clothes. This bias trains wealth into displays. Status buys applause, but not freedom. The rich know the best status symbol is control over your time. They use money to escape obligations, not impress strangers. When you chase symbols, you're renting respect. When you build assets, you own independence. People underestimate small numbers. They think saving $10 daily is useless, ignoring that it compounds into thousands. Or they dismiss 1% higher returns, when over decades it doubles wealth. This bias blinds people to compounding's true power. Rich people obsess over small percentages because they know time magnifies them. Poor math makes people undervalue daily habits. Wealthy math makes people unstoppable. Some believe wealth should just come, because they studied hard, worked long, or deserve it. But money isn't moral, it rewards value creation, not fairness. This entitlement bias creates bitterness instead of action. The wealthy accept reality: if you want more, create more value. No one owes you riches. The sooner you accept responsibility, the sooner you can change your outcome. The deadliest bias of all? People know they should save, invest, learn, but they say tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes years. Procrastination robs more wealth than recessions ever do. Every day delayed is compounding lost forever. The wealthy act before perfect conditions arrive. The poor wait for someday, which never comes. If you want wealth, start now. Momentum beats perfection. And here's the truth, intelligence alone doesn't guarantee wealth. Money doesn't reward the smartest, it rewards the most disciplined. The ones who master their emotions, build habits, and take action when others freeze. If you've ever found yourself overthinking money but underacting on it, you're not alone. The real difference isn't IQ, it's psychology. And that's what we break down here, every single week. So if you want to keep learning the hidden psychology of money, make sure you subscribe right now, hit that like button, and drop a comment below with the money trap you've faced. I read every one. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss when a new video drops. Follow along, because each upload is designed to rewire how you think about wealth. Stick around, the next video might just change the way you see money forever.